What is going on out there, peeps? All right. It's funny because a lot can change in just 7 years. Actually, that's a picture of me 7 years ago. Yeah, that's it. Only 7 years ago. Although I'm feeling pretty happy about this diet, I'm going to get down to that weight again. Um, so I got to thinking about, where I was financially 7 years ago. And it's crazy because back then, I didn't care. I make a lot of money. I was making 75 an hour back then. So that's just a little over 150,000 a year. And I didn't think about anything like retirements or anything like that. I knew about them, and I do have a huge coin collection. I knew about silver, I knew about gold, and I knew about coins. I knew about sports cards. But for whatever reason, I just took for granted a lot of times that I can always make a lot of money. As you get older, you get wiser. That's for sure. So yeah, that's crazy. That pictures. I'm 46 in this picture. Everybody thought I was 22. That's what I look like when I taught college. I taught college for 7 years. It's crazy. Professor Pimpy. Yep, that's right. I taught college for 7 years. Anyways, the reason why I bring this up, I have a handful of friends that actually have this. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you won't. But they on that OnlyFans thing. And as I was talking to them, I kind of got an idea how much they make per month on average between them. On average between all of them, it's just a little over $8,000 a month. And the one that's the highest is just below 18,000 a month, and the lowest one's just around $2,200 a month. And she doesn't put no effort into it. She just posts pictures and it's supplement on top of her regular income. And I got to thinking about it. You know what I mean? If you make that kind of money and it comes easy to you, do you really appreciate what you have, or you don't appreciate it till it's gone? Because you see, back in those days, I also did a lot of club promoting, and I lived a rock star lifestyle. And when I say I lived a rock star lifestyle, that is really as close as I can get to describing it to you. So I screwed off as much money as I was making. I lived carefree. I didn't care. But just one day when I woke up, I realized I don't want to keep working. I was working way too far from my home. I was away from the kids too much. That's not what I wanted. And so I started becoming more serious about my approach when it comes to finances. Now, don't get me wrong. I still make as much money. There's a lot of calculating you need to do. There's got to be a time where you're making so much money that you just go, you know what? I can keep doing this. I'm not going to worry about savings now. I don't care about it. I want to go out. I want that fancy car. I want those clothes. I want those shoes. One day you're going to realize that when you have no money because you didn't save, that those shoes aren't going to be able to feed you. Well, I might be wrong because in some cases, some shoes are pretty damn expensive. I still have the first original jumps, Michael Jordan's. You want to see kids flip out when they come over to visit the teenagers? They go, show them. I was like, oh, good Lord, guys. And I pull them out and people lose their damn mind. Yeah, I used to just save all my stuff. I have shoes, comic books, stupid stuff, man. The funny thing is, it's not stupid. They're real valuable now. Video games. So, the point being, if you haven't started it yet, some of us are way up there in age, and we still haven't even started. Some of us are very, very young, and you think you have your whole life in front of you, and that you could just make money anytime you want. One day you're going to wake up and realize that's not the case. So if you start planning now, you could protect yourself in the future. I often talk about the year 2008 when we had that crash, 2008, 2009, and the too big to fail banks and people's IRAs and 401ks. It dropped down. They 40, 50, 60% overnight in market crashes. If I remember correctly, the S&P lost 50% of its value and the Dow 60 something percent. So think about your retirement, your 401ks, your IRA accounts. Do you have enough money in there that if you lost 60%, you'd be okay? Because after they lost that amount, the rest of it was spent just to survive as they kept trying for jobs because the job market was closed. I've made videos showing you guys this. The people who were able to fight through that were people who invested into gold and silver. We know this. Because when the market crashed, it did nothing to the gold and silver. Let me rephrase that because I had a person come on and say, wait a minute, you didn't tell me about what happened to gold and silver. So here's what happened to gold and silver. They dropped down around 25% of their value, respectfully. So when stocks and bonds and everything else were losing between 40 and 60%, gold and silver dropped down around 25%. It took the stocks and bonds years just to get back up to where it was before it dropped off. It took gold and silver 3 months to not only get back to its original value after the crash, but then continue to climb after that. So yeah, when a crash happens, there's a little drop. And the reason for the drop is this. And it's usually a lag. What I mean by that is gold and silver prices will start to drop somewhere around a month after a crash. The reason for that drop off is not because the precious metals aren't valuable. No, when people start losing their money and they have nothing else, what do? If they have gold and silver, they sell it. So saturated the market. Gold and silver value dropped down. Well, everybody that knew anything about gold and silver, they snagged those things up. So as soon as people sold them, they were being bought. So it rebounded real quick. You figure it took about 3 months for people who could not live off, didn't have a job or couldn't live any longer off their 401ks or IRA accounts. They were able to get by on their gold and silver. Briefly, depends on how much you had. And then the value of gold and silver took off. So when I say owning gold and silver is there to protect you from a market crash, it's there to protect you from inflation. I've spoke about this several times as well, and I told you back in the 1930s when gold was around $35 an ounce, $35 an ounce, houses were somewhere around $3,600 on average, I think it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. I said it'd take you 175 ounces of gold back then to buy a house. You could buy a nice size family home with 175 ounces of gold. This is what I'm talking about when I say it protects you from inflation. If you didn't do anything to take away from those ounces, you still had the same 175 ounces today. Can you still buy a pretty good size home, a good size family home? Yes, of course you can. So the value of gold and silver never changes because of inflation and never gets hurt long term because of a market crash. This is why I preach about it so long. Before I had my own YouTube channel, I used to preach about it all the time in one of my groups on Facebook, telling people you need to buy gold and silver. I bring that for a reason. There's a lot going on in the markets, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of signs on the wall that say, hey, this. Back then we had a bubble. You had, remember the 90s, you had that .com bubble, boom, and the markets dropped. Then we had the too big to fail banks. Then you also had the housing boom. Well, combined all those and then add on a bunch of other bubbles like the bonds. Okay, so this is bad. What's coming up? Really bad. And investing in gold and silver is the right thing to do. All right, we're going to get more into that in just a second. But when you do go to buy your gold or silver, go to our friends over here at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. For those of you looking for my address, there it is right here. And you guys know I have this alternative website. I posted some new videos on there yesterday. There's a lot of very good information on there that I cannot put on YouTube. I don't just say that just because we all know if you talk about certain subjects, you get in trouble for it, especially this one right here. Especially this one right here. It's ridiculous, but that's what we are forced to do to get information out to other people. Come on over there and join it. It's only $3 for the entire month. You could probably binge watch all those videos for $3. Go show some love over there to our friends at Wall Street Silver. They have a YouTube channel as well as a Reddit group. Yesterday I was on there looking at pictures. Gets me all fired up. All right, so what's going on in the market? Let me refresh real quick here. So last night I was watching, actually crypto was taking off, and I don't know what's going on right now, but I actually seen Bitcoin get up to 49,000, and I seen Ethereum was around 33, but it's come down just a little, but I'm anticipating a huge run based on the trends that my buddy is showing me. Man, I don't trust cryptocurrencies at all, to be honest with you guys, man. I want to tell you that based on what he showed me, it was exciting the way he explained it to me. And if he's right, you can see Bitcoin hit around 250,000 by the end of this year. But again, everything with cryptocurrencies is a crapshoot. It's too volatile. The thing is, when the doo-doo hits the fan and markets crash, the one group of people it's not going to affect is going to be people holding on to gold and silver. You got to physically have it. It won't affect you because you have it in your possession. I mentioned to people, look, I got out of cryptocurrencies just because I see a bigger picture happening and I just don't trust it. And then I said, I was playing around with a couple of coins because I was bored. Alchemy Pay, and got lucky. And then I jumped on the Shiba coins, and they just been kind of just sitting there. And then the Veracity one's moving pretty good. And there was another one that here's how my friend was explaining to me. He says, look, if you just want to keep messing around and try to jump on something that earns quick, you always want to look for what's called gaming tokens. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, well, these kids, they play games. So when a new one comes out and it starts to become very popular, you have to figure out what crypto they're using. I said, okay, so we played around yesterday. And he said there's this one called Sandlot, I think it is. And I said, okay, and I looked at it. That sucker has been consistent. Let me show you something. Again, I'm not encouraging you. I'm not a financial advisor. But look at this sucker. Let's look at 1 year. Look at this trend. And what was the drop off here? June. For some reason, it dropped from 32 cents down to 18. But look where it is now. It's just green. 1 day green. Come down just a little, but 1 day green. 5 day green. 1 month green. 6 month green. Year to date green. 1 year green. I don't know if it's got 5 years. Well, there you go. 5 years. Green. Green. In other words, it continues to go up and up and up. Sand. And yes, you could buy it on KuCoins. You guys, it was there. I was surprised. And so I asked him, what's the big deal on this one? He goes, this is a damn gaming token. There's a new game that's out that uses this. It's on the Ethereum platform. And I said, okay. And he goes, and I'm listening to these kids talk about it. And so kids can actually earn money playing this video game. And so it was downloaded 40 million times within the last couple of months. So you can understand why from, where we're at June here to where we are now, it's a nice little big jump. I mean, look at it. It's 5 times. 40 million times within a couple of months. Yeah, kids like it, in other words, okay? So it made sense. And I thought, that's an interesting way to approach this. So see, there's one of those strategies. I still don't like cryptocurrencies. But because I bring these to you guys' attention, people go, see, he flip-flops. No, I'm not flip-flopping. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stop talking about them. When I go, oh man, everybody jump back into cryptocurrencies. Then they go, no, get out. No, go back in. No, that's flip-flopping, man. Nothing about cryptocurrencies do I at all trust. Gold last night started to make its move and then came down slightly. Come back over to silver. So anyways, the reason why it's around the $24 mark, just so you're aware, there was a lot of short contracts, futures contracts to be delivered at around $24. Oh, they're going to go up. You see, this is where we are right now. This trend here is normal. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So the best time to buy gold and silver. So what happens is we know it's seasonal, believe it or not. This is when prices are around the lowest time. is around February, March, April, May, June, July starts to go up. This is what we just experienced. We saw the big rush in silver and gold at the beginning of the year. So, but this is so you know, look at this. This is the span. This is the average from 1975 to the year 2020. All right, so this is the chart. These are the averages. So what's this tell you? The best time to buy is during the spring going into the summer months. Remember last year, we seen once it got into July, then all of a sudden it started taking off. And we seen highs, the highest we've ever seen. So here's what I'm talking about. March, we had that crash. Here it is right here. Boom, remember that? But before then, it was already on a trend of going up. And this was by when? Going into December. Starts to go up. March, we had that crash. Then all of a sudden, we seen it go up and up and up and up. And then we get over here to August, when it was at its highest point, and it started to go down. You could see by this chart, this is a trend. It happens all the time. So we buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. But eventually, this chart's going to change. And that is because the gold and silver is not going to keep these trends up much longer. You have to ask yourself this question. We all know we're going into the Green New Deal. We all know Basel III has been implemented, but somebody out there got an extension, London market, which is the largest bullion dealer, until the end of the year. I don't know how much longer to keep delaying it, but the fact that they forced everybody else into them but the London market means that these guys got to get their crap together. So there's Basel III. We all know that they're still printing more stimulus money. We all know they're trying to push us into that Green New Deal. All electronic components use silver. All of it does. The electric cars, the solar panels, computers, your cell phones. There are no supplements out there for silver. None. With them forcing us into this Green New Deal, and we already know around the world, there's a shortage on precious metals. I told people, and I said this many times, that within the next 10 years, I anticipate silver not only catching in value gold, but passing it up just because of its commercial uses. It's very scarce, you guys. And so I've been thinking about this, and you heard me say, hey, I think we should do another silver squeeze. And the reason for that is, just like they were doing with the AMC, as well as the GameStop stock, you have a lot of money, people betting that the value of gold or silver will go down. Or silver anyways. And that's why you're seeing it around the $24 mark. Now, if there was already a shortage, and there's been a shortage, we come to find out the last 4 years. Well, to all my other YouTubers out there, all you silver influencers, don't you think right now is a good time for another huge silver squeeze? Because if they're betting on the market to be low, and we snag up all the retail out there as much as possible, hopefully we can get them to stop manipulating the price. I think right now is a great time before it starts going up to do a squeeze. Right now, it's very low. And I think right now is a great time. Although the retail side, in case you haven't noticed, the prices haven't changed very much. They're still between $32 and $36 an ounce. That's because that's the support levels. People are willing to pay that to get it. All right? They know that silver is not going to stay at these prices much longer. I say we should coordinate another silver squeeze, but do it in a big way. Mobius. This is when the big dogs start telling you, hey, now's the time to start protecting yourself. Hold 10% of gold as currency, as currencies will be devalued. I told you that's coming up. There's no way in how these U.S. dollars can continue to hold the power that they have. They've printed so many of them. Think supply and demand. Eventually, the government's going to have to start buying the dollars back and destroying them because there's too many of them out there. But that's not going to happen because guess what they're doing? Yep, they're going to print more. The debt ceiling, the whole 9 yards, more money, more stimulus money. Remember, the government wants you relying on them. That's what the Great Reset is all about. It's forcing you into socialism. But first, they have to break you. Open up the economy, shut it down. Open up the economy, shut it down. Keep you unemployed, but keep giving you money to stay unemployed. That's not good, you guys. I know it's great to stay home and get that extra money. No, don't do that. Because they want you reliant on them. But if you're going to do that, at least take that money and buy gold or silver and protect yourself. You want something out of the system. Devalue the currencies. Veteran investor Mark Mobius said investors should have 10%. I showed you guys one time, I said all rich people have at least 10% of their portfolio in precious metals. But then all of a sudden that changed. It changed this year. On average, they're holding between 20 and 25% of their holdings is in precious metals. Yep. Do they know something we don't know? That's all I'm saying. He said at this stage, 10% should be put into physical gold. Who set up Mobius Capital Partner after more than 3 decades at Franklin Templeton. So for those of you out there going, I can't afford gold. Gold's really expensive. Remember, you're looking at it wrong. What I mean by that is this. See where it says gold up here? You can go to gold bars or gold rounds. See the gold bars over here? Click it. It's our friends at Money Metals. So sure, 1 ounce, might be a little bit for people. 10 ounces. This is a nice chunk of money. But if you go down here, you get what's called fractionals. See, this is only $80 for a gram. People are like, gram's not a lot. What the point is, you don't have no gold. And when the gold goes up, so does this, obviously. So 1 gram, you can at least buy a gram. If you can't afford anything else, this Pamps is a little bit cheaper. Well, no, it's not. Okay? You have 2.5 grams. Over here, you have what's called fractionals. See this? So there's 20 of these little squares in here that you can break up into bars. Each one is 1 gram. Even better, how about 100 little gram bars? All put up into a nice little puzzle piece here. $6 grand. Fractionals are important because if you have big coins and the doo-doo hits the fan and the value of gold or silver really shoots up and you start using it to barter with, obviously you don't want to go to the store and trade a 1 ounce coin worth $10,000 for a loaf of bread. And you don't want to destroy by shaving. What I mean by shaving is taking something and slicing off little pieces of gold when you can just have fractionals. You could do the same thing with silver, you guys. As a matter of fact, I encourage for silver holders, you should get into buying at least some of your holdings should be in fractionals. See them right here? So you can get 101 gram silver bars that you can break up to, $151. You get 10 gram bars, $146. So get some of those and hold on to them. So in case, again, you can use them to barter. All right. So Mobius says 10% of all your holdings should be in the gold and silver. I understand that. He says bullions rallied to a record last year as the coronavirus pandemic spurred a flight to haven assets, but it pulled back since then with the rollout of vaccines. Nah, no, it didn't. I know people thought we're going back to work, but nobody trusts what's going on. He says, to fight the crisis, central banks and governments worldwide have unleashed an unprecedented wave of monetary and fiscal stimulus. So their balance sheets are ridiculous. There's too much money out there. It has no value. Gold and silver, look at this. It is going to be very, very good to have physical gold and silver that you can access immediately without the danger of government confiscation of all gold. That means you have to physically hold it and own it. Spot bullion, which traded near 1816 an ounce, hit an all-time high above 2,075 a year ago. Shed 4%. Investors have been turning away from bullion-backed exchange-traded funds. So no ETFs. Nobody wants paper gold and silver. You want the actual physical gold and silver. That's what he's encouraging people to do, and I do the same. Billionaire calls crypto worthless, chooses gold instead. A famous billionaire, John Paulson, believes that cryptos are not worth the hype. He believes that cryptocurrencies are a waste of time and does not recommend investors to invest in these digital assets. As a matter of fact, I seen him in an interview, it was about a week ago. He said that the same thing I said, that all cryptos are is an indoctrination to get you guys to accept the central bank digital currency that's coming up. The 65-year-old billionaire investor shares his thoughts on gold investments in Bloomberg. Having made his fortune by betting against the U.S. housing market over the decade ago, Paulson is certain about the current choice of investments. Yeah, gold and silver. And I don't want to hear people go, Pimpy, you're confusing me. You're saying to buy in and then no. Look, I don't trust cryptocurrencies. I told you I've been playing around with these cryptocurrencies, and if I hear some news that sounds good about a cryptocurrency, I'll still share it. Now, it's up to you whether you're going to buy it. But yeah, I was playing around with cryptocurrencies, the really super cheap ones, just to see what the heck. I figured. Do I have any discretionary funds? Yes, of course I do. So right now I've been playing around with these coins. Sand, I was playing around with. VRG, which is Veracity. Shiba. Just seeing what would happen. Because you could literally get like millions of them for, a few bucks. So why not? Who knows? If I lose that 1,000, it ain't the end of my life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be devastated. I'll still have a house. I'll still be able to eat. I'll still have clothing on my back, the whole 9 yards. So like I say, discretionary funds if you just want to play with some. Because heck, you never know. Those ones that are worth less than a cent, you know, you buy a bunch of those and all of a sudden they get up there around 10 cents or so. You're like, dang, what the hell happened? I put in like $100. Now all of a sudden I got 100,000 in there. That's what I mean. You never know. The Highlight Paulson says he is not a fan of cryptocurrencies. In fact, he says that cryptos are a bubble, and they are. I said that before. Because the reason for that, there's no legitimate reason for them to have the value that they do. I know you crypto people are going to be like, yeah, there's a reason. No, there's no intrinsic reason. There's nothing there that supports it. It's just like a digital fiat currency. Gold and silver, you have to mine it physically. Go in there and mine it. And I don't want people, and said that last time some guy said, what do you mean, man? Bitcoin's mined. I was like, oh, man, seriously? It's a bubble. It's artificially pumped. When you say to people, what gives Bitcoin its value? They really don't have a lot of reason why. Well, you know, here it is. Something is only as valuable as a person's willing to pay for it. In other words, you can look at a Van Gogh painting and go, that looks like crap. But somebody else goes, no, that is true art, and I'll pay 60 million for that painting. And you're like, dude, I wouldn't pay $60 for that painting. That's the difference. If somebody's willing to pay $60 million for that painting, that means that painting's worth $60 million. If people are willing to pay that kind of money for Bitcoin, then it's worth that. But people are going to wake up one day and realize, you know, their dreams of getting filthy rich because everything is shooting to the moon is not a reality. Then they're going to start going elsewhere. Yeah, they continue to get these rushes because they go up and down, up and down. But I like my gold and silver going up and down. That's fine. But I like mine boring. It's just been sitting there because it's consistent. I'll stick with it because it's the right investment. However, once the demand falls, where am I? He elaborates that by saying the cryptos are a limited supply of nothing. For instance, he says, until there's a high demand over limit supply, the asset price will go up. However, once the demand falls, so will the price. He believes cryptos do not hold actual intrinsic value and that they are only popular due to limited supply, plus all the hype about them. All in all, he says that no matter where cryptos are trading today, eventually they'll fall to zero. Now, everybody has their opinion on there. I don't agree with this 100%. I do agree that they're going to fall and get down really, really low in value. But after the dust settles, there will be, in my opinion, a handful of cryptos that will still be around. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Data, in my opinion. Looks like Polkadot without a doubt. You know, I might be leaving a couple out there, but it's well, XLM, because in case you guys haven't figured out, the rapper Akon he's getting ready to work on his second futuristic city in Kenya, in which the only currency they're going to be functioning on is XLM. So I can't imagine them stopping that, or that it'd just be for them exclusively. So again, I just don't trust it, you know. And I'm going to show you something here too in just a second, and now I'm going to respond to it. So listen to what this guy says. I like Rob here; he's a good guy. But Rob, you see my address in the beginning of this. If you could please send this chunk of silver over there, I'd be much appreciated.
You know, silver's in a unique place.
Yes.
And I just talked about this in the live stream that I guess was choppy, so I wanted to do this video and be able to put something out there that isn't, the quality is good. The market cap of silver is about 1.2, 1.4 trillion range. We don't know exactly where it is, but somewhere in that range. The market cap of Bitcoin is about the same, 1 trillion, wavering between 1 trillion, under a trillion, over a trillion. The market cap of gold is roughly 10 trillion. So 10x the figure of silver or Bitcoin. The unique space that silver is in the physical realm. Yep. In the tangible realm, it is affordable, and the market cap is low enough that the needle actually can get moved by the retail crowd.
We know that. We saw that when we did the silver squeeze. The retail crowd can move it. Yes, because the more we remove off the market, the less that's available for commercial.
medium, the interesting place that silver is in, and why I am much more bullish on silver than I am of gold. Silver is not accumulated by central banks in the same way that gold is. They have the gold. They've had it for a long time. So silver is just in this unique spot where one bank can't really corner the market as much as JP Morgan is trying.
Yes,
They're trying. But one bank can't corner the market of a $1 trillion plus asset. What that tells me is what they're going to do is try to manipulate it as much as possible to accumulate as much as possible so that this scenario can't happen. And so
I was saying the same thing.
When silver's going down, all that tells me is that the paper market is trying to manipulate the physical market. And you can print and you can print and you can print as many short contracts as you want. But at the end of the day, you can't put a short contract piece of paper into a car. You can't put it in an electric car. You can't put it in a solar panel. You need this right here. And this is ironically from 1951, from the New York Assay Office of 1951, 70 years ago. Actually, exactly 70 years ago. Someone took a delivery for their silver certificates from the New York Assay Office to take this COMEX bar. Here. It's a 1,000-ounce bar.
Someone traded in their certificates for this fatty of a chunk of silver. Man, is that not a beautiful chunk of silver?
It's actually a bit more than 1,000 ounces. It's like 1,061 troy ounces. Why do I bring up a COMEX bar? It's a pretty cool COMEX bar, and it's great eye candy, clickbait, all of that. But also, Perth Mint and other mints are going to be feeding the COMEX, but then they're going to say they have enough silver and ration the public that wants to buy the silver and charge the big premiums to the public, but then feed the 1,000-ounce bars. You know, this is actually a pretty cool 1,000-ounce bar, but normally 1,000-ounce bars are the closest bars to spot price. So the cheap stuff is going to get given in bulk to the COMEX, while they are putting huge premiums on the small stuff, not only doing that, but then also rationing it on top of it. So things aren't adding up.
Nope.
Things aren't adding up. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. And if there's one thing that I want to do with this channel, I want to put the information that is genuinely from my heart and that I really believe in so that it's worth sharing. That this content is worth sharing. If there was a problem with the live stream, whatever it is, we had all these theories going on in the live stream. But if there is something like that, I would really appreciate it if you could share these videos. If you could like the video so it gets out to more people. If you subscribe, it really helps our community grow and it helps this movement here. And thank you for doing that. For everybody that's been helping this channel, I really appreciate it. And I hope that this...
If you really want to thank me, this would be a really big thing. But we spoke about this on and off, and many of you jumped into gold and silver thinking, hey, next year I'll be rich. And there's a lot of reasons to have thought that, especially during 2020. We know that there was consideration of the U.S. dollar being removed as the worldwide reserve dollar. That talk was there, and it was a lot of talk. And for the record, it still is the talk. Also, we had a pandemic going on. We had a shortage going on. We have us pushed into the Green New Deal going on. We had Basel III going on. So you have to tell yourself, with all those things happening, why is silver still so cheap? That's because they're trying to accumulate as much of it as possible at this level. You should be doing the same thing. Consider it as being on sale.
Information helps you. The whole storm going on around silver doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
Nope.
That you've increased the dollar supply by 40% within a year. So you've printed over $10 trillion. You got to remember, that's 10x. They have printed roughly 10x, in order of magnitude, more dollars out of thin air than silver's market cap. All the silver in the world.
Well, let me make a correction there. They didn't print anything. Well, I shouldn't say that. There is no physical dollars that they printed. It's digital. They just did some programming and put it in there. That's how they did it. There is no physical dollars. There's not enough time for them to have actually printed out that much physical currency. I think the actual number is like 1% of that.
About a little bit over $1 trillion. And they have printed roughly 10x that and plan to print more.
Yep.
And you mean to tell me that the price of gas is going up, the price of our groceries is going up, the price of all commodities across the board is going up.
Yep.
But silver's going down?
Yeah, really.
Gold's going down?
Yep.
While Bitcoin goes up.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference, the reason why Bitcoin is going up, and I do have a reason to talk about Bitcoin and relate it to silver, is it's not as controlled. They can't manipulate Bitcoin in the same way that they can manipulate silver through short contracts.
Oh, yes they can. Yes they can now. You guys know that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and them, and what are they doing now? Selling futures and derivatives on cryptocurrencies. So they sure the hell can now. So this is from March of this year, and they are now. There's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, I did a video and showed you guys where they started selling futures contracts for Bitcoin to be around $24,000 by, when was it, December or whatever it was. So yeah, they can manipulate it just like they do gold and silver.
You know, there is no like JP Morgan. The fact that JP Morgan can be the custodian for SLV, the ETF SLV, is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
There's like no checks and balances, and now they're putting new things in their prospectus, and it's just the whole system is so wrong. And the idea that this could go down when everything should be going up should not only be going up, but should be skyrocketing. And I think smart money is getting out of the stock market and trying to put their money into safe haven assets. I think people are accumulating silver like never before.
Yes, they are.
But they're trying to shake us out of our silver positions.
You said that before.
And this is just my opinion, by the way. This is just my opinion.
No, not just yours. A lot of us say that. You heard me say that. Back in the olden days, when people weren't as educated on gold and silver, all they would do is manipulate the price, drop it down, make people panic, and they would sell their precious metals. They would buy them cheaper because the price went down. You sold, they pick them up, the value goes up, and it's a vicious circle. But the one thing over the past year that's been happening is more and more people are wise. More and more people are educated about precious metals. They will not part with their precious metals. So even when they try to knock the prices down to get people to part with them, some people will, some people won't. The smart move is to sell all your paper contracts or all your paper gold and silver ETFs and get into actual physical gold and silver. So it's not just his opinion. I'll leave the link for his video, the entire one right here. You can see is Rob. You can go subscribe to him. I do like his videos as well. He's another person that I respect and listen to. But yeah, just you know, how many of us want one of these bad boys? But yeah, I bring him up for a reason. He's saying the same thing. There's no reason for gold and silver to be at these levels. They should be way, 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 way higher than they are. If you own the largest percentage of a cryptocurrency, just like JP Morgan does with silver, if JP Morgan wants to cause silver price to go down, all they have to do is dump a lot of it on the market. They'll turn around and pick it back up, but the paper version of it. And it drops. So yeah, that one company can. Cryptocurrencies are the same way. If you own a huge amount of cryptocurrencies and you dump a bunch of them on the market, saturates the market, drives the value down. Then he turns around and buys more back up at a cheaper rate. So it can be manipulated. And to say that, we know you can put short contracts on there now. We know that. They're selling futures. JP Morgan and Chase are selling future contracts on both Ethereum and Bitcoin now. So that's not true. They can. They absolutely can. I wanted to comment on that because I thought that was interesting. What she's saying is right. She questioned it. She says, can it be manipulated? Not manipulated in the sense that the government can get in there and do something. Well, technically, if the government wanted to, they can. They can just buy all the Bitcoin that's out there. Then what? then they have the monopoly on the cryptocurrency. And don't say they don't have the money to do it, because they do. They know their fiat dollar is a crappy dollar. It isn't worth anything. So take the crappy dollar, buy as many Bitcoins as you possibly can, and now you corner the market. And you can manipulate it that way. And there are governments out there that do that kind of stuff. This is very interesting. Dark journalist. Catherine Austin Fitts. For those who don't know, she was under the Obama's administration. But she has been one of these people who have come out recently and has been I don't know, I think she had a conscious crisis or whatever you want to call it, a coming to Jesus moment. But she's been awfully candid and upfront about a lot of things happening in our monetary system and what she was a big part of. But let's listen a little bit about what she says, because it is very interesting, and she brings up some things that I spoke about before.
You recently put out this latest Solari report. You've got one in the pipeline.
Yeah, you ready? I love this one. It's really, here we go. It
is.
So it's already mailed. It's mailed to the European and Asian subscribers from the Netherlands printer, and we shipped some.
I bring her up because she's going to tell you that yes, indeed, there are two resets trying to happen. The World Economic Forum's version of the Great Reset, but there is another reset that Trump tried to push.
Some to the United States, but we have we have a printer in Wisconsin who'll be coming out with another run for the U.S. Anyway, but people should start getting it starting about now.
Excellent. I was lucky enough to get my hands on it. And it is fascinating. What I want to ask you right off the bat with it is, there's a little confusion in the air about the Great Reset versus the going direct reset. Right. You are focusing on the going direct reset and how this was initiated by some bankers in Wyoming in 2019. Tell us about what that is.
Okay, so the G7 central bankers meet once a year under the auspices of one of the Fed banks that has an event in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And so the G7 central bankers come together and meet. This year they met several months after the G7 finance ministers had approved their crypto plan, their cryptocurrency plan. So they come together on August 22nd, 2019, and they vote for the Going Direct Reset, which is a re-engineering of the global financial system. Now, central bankers basically don't have a retail arm that explains to the citizens what they're doing. And if you look at what the central bankers are doing, it wouldn't be acceptable to the citizens anyway. So for 100 plus years, we've had this balance of power where the people in a democratic process vote for representation who oversees the taxation and the money spent from both taxes and credit supported by taxes. And then the central bankers, which ultimately are private owned or privately directed, control monetary policy. So you have this balance of power between the people and the bankers.
Used to be there.
Now, part of going direct is the bankers are taking control. It's like, that's over. We're taking control.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. When government got too big for themselves and they want more control. They don't want checks and balances. This is why you need the gold standard. You heard her. We used to elect officials who would then double check and make sure we were protected. Those days are gone. They're all part of the same. They're all bed buddies.
Of the Treasury function, we're taking control of everything, and on the just do it basis. Now, that's difficult. If I said, Daniel, I want you to market the Going Direct Reset to the citizens, that would be that would be like marketing injections to plain, frequent flyers that give you blood clots that kill you when you fly. This is a real marketing problem. So the World Economic Forum shortly thereafter, I don't know when, came out with this.
Don't misunderstand what she's saying. What she's saying is trying to market to the people is like getting an injection that gives you a blood clot when you fly. In other words, it's really hard to do. She wasn't saying her go direct was bad. She was talking about the marketing part of it. Now she's going to talk about the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset.
Glowing website. We were all targeted for the mailings, because they're offering subscriptions, and of something called the what do they call it? The Great Reset. The Great Reset. And if you look at the Great Reset, it's very clever. It's a way of marketing the going direct reset to young people.
Listen to what she says.
In totally non-financial ways and language.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're trying to build buy-in, and it's so diffuse and complicated in the way they do it, nobody would ever understand what's really going on.
Which is what?
So it's both an obfuscation, but it's also a way of marketing what you're going to, think of it as a way of marketing slavery.
There you go.
It's really what it is. So, and to me, it's just part of the marketing aspect of what's going on, which is not to say that the central bankers called it, dialed up Schwab and told him to do it. I'm not saying that, but they're busy, and the last thing they want anybody doing is watching what they're doing. So did you see that little 56-second video we put up of Carson's?
Oh, yeah.
BIS?
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
I show this all the time.
Yeah.
And everyone who's into cryptocurrency should be scared to death
Cryptocurrencies.
of that.
Our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of the general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Hello, you.
He said right now, if $100 goes into the system, we can't track where it came from coming in or going out. But now the central banks will be able, with the digital currency system, to be able to track that $100 from anywhere that it goes. Meaning they'll be able to, of course, control the money that you have.
But what he said is we will also be able to determine policies and regulations about where and how it's used, and we will have the ability to enforce.
Enforce.
Wow. Right. That's it.
But this is why I appreciate Carson's. He's a rare central banker who will basically tell you what they're up to.
Yes.
And she says their plan is a new world order. I'll leave the link for this as well. Again, what it is that you need outside of the system is gold and silver, you guys. I can't stress this enough. All right? Anyways, I wanted to bring all this news to you because there's a lot of interesting things going on right now. Listening to people talk about any day this one particular bubble is going to pop, or this one over there is going to pop, or how much longer are the government's going to be able to prop up this fake economy. They're not. Well, they're going to keep doing it as long as they can. They're going to keep opening and shutting down the economies till you're so desperate that you'll take your universal basic income and it's all 100% digital, and then they control you because they have all your money. You'll have no choice. You'll take that mark of the beast. Anyways, you guys, that's it for now, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later. I'm out.